What's up, Fantasy Pros? My name is Andrew Erickson, and today I'm breaking down my top 10 must-draft wide receivers for the fantasy football season. But before I get to my list, you want a chance to win the ultimate symbol of fantasy football defeat, the Golden Toilet Trophy, courtesy of our good friends at Trophy Smack, the #1 destination for epic fantasy football trophies. All you need to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on any of our videos, and that's it. Announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Now, let's get to the top 10 must-have wide receivers. Number 10, Brian Thomas Jr., Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars drafted Brian Thomas Jr. 23rd overall in the first round of this year's draft. I'm expecting big things from the LSU product in year one attached to Trevor Lawrence, with vacated targets available in the offense. Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones combined for 200 targets last season. Considering Gabe Davis has never commanded 100 targets in a single season, Thomas is looking at close to at least 100-plus targets in the Jaguars' offense. That's a very encouraging benchmark for a rookie receiver, given every rookie in the last few years to hit that threshold has drastically exceeded expectations and finished at least top 4 in receiving yards among rookies. I fully expect Thomas Jr. to take over the Ridley role, and he was miscast as a field stretcher last season, but that role was salivating for fantasy purposes. 1,800-plus air yards, 23% target share, 36% air yard share, NFL leader in end zone targets, and wide receiver 10 in expected points per game. And speaking of Calvin Ridley, number 9, Calvin Ridley, Tennessee Titans. Ridley caught 76 passes on 136 targets last year for over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns in his lone season as a Jaguar. With a strong role in the Jaguars' offense, he ranked as wide receiver 17 overall and wide receiver 26 in points per game. Ridley led the NFL in end zone targets, but fell short of fully capitalizing on his elite opportunities for a fantasy wide receiver 1 season. Now with the Titans, alongside veterans DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd, Ridley enters a potentially more pass-centric offense under new head coach Brian Callahan and second-year quarterback Will Levis, offering opportunities for increased production. With Hopkins on the injury shelf with knee injury that has forced him to miss almost all of the preseason and potential regular season games, Ridley is an easy bet as a prime post-Hart sleeper in 2024. Note that Ridley has never finished worse than wide receiver 25 in a healthy season. Number 8, Tank Dell, Houston Texans. I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't include at least one Texas wide receiver on the must-draft wide receiver list. I've been lowering Nico Collins versus consensus as the undisputed number 1 most expensive Texas wide receiver, and more in line with the expert consensus regarding Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell around their ADP. But remember, as a rookie, Dell posted identical air yard share to Collins at 31%, while falling just short in target share at 21%. The undersized wide receiver posted over 1,000 air yards in just 10 games played. In those games, Dell posted again a 21% target share, 33% air yard share, and 14.2 points per game, which ranked 9th. In the 8 games that Collins and Dell played together, each missed a game with injury, the production was nearly identical. I love the value of taking the rookie breakout later in 2024, given he looks to be back to full health. Keep in mind that CJ Stroud absolutely loves Tank Dell, and that Dell outgained Collins despite similar target shares in their last 4 games played together. Number 7, Rashee Rice, Kansas City Chiefs. Because of the suspension fear, Rashee Rice's price is supremely discounted. But with no news about a penalty and a December 9th court date, I'm under the impression this is going to be a 2025 issue for Rashee Rice. So you need to buy the dip. Rice showcased promise in his rookie year with the Chiefs, tallying 105 catches for 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns in 20 games played, earning him a 19% target share. Despite an average of 10.9 fantasy points per game, he surged post-week 6, averaging 12.1 points with ranking inside the top 20. For what it's worth, I also love double-dipping on the Chiefs' offense with rookie Xavier Worthy. He's already seeing starter snaps with Patrick Mahomes in the preseason. Loved his profile coming out of Texas, and the injury to Marquise Brown makes him a must-have target for me in the Chiefs' offense as a wide receiver 40 per ADP. Number 6, Chris Godwin, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Godwin led the Buccaneers with 91 catches for over 1,100 receiving yards in 2023, but he only caught 3 touchdowns in 19 games played. Meanwhile, Mike Evans totaled 14 scores. Still, Godwin's target share was nearly identical to Evans. No player scored fewer touchdowns with more receiving yards than Godwin, and he and Mike Evans saw the same amount of red zone targets. Look, this is a metric overall that's going to progress positively in Godwin's favor. Based on the sheer volume of usage he has been seeing, Godwin should be closer to a total of double-digit scores versus the average of 3 touchdowns he has over the past 2 seasons. At just 28 years old, Godwin could be in for a major bounce back if Evans takes a step back entering his age 31 season. Godwin played his lowest slot snap rate at 37% since 2018 last year. He's expected to be back in the slot full-time under new offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. Godwin has never finished worse than wide receiver 20 overall or in points per game, through 4 seasons with a 65% snap rate from the slot. Before we get into the top 5, have you heard about the FantasyPros Draft Wizard? The easiest way to master your draft is with the Draft Wizard. Our tool offers simulated mock drafts that you would practice and refine your strategy against realistic opponents. Get personalized pick recommendations based on expert rankings, ADP, and projections, ensuring you make the best choices at every stage of your draft. Analyze your draft results instantly with our Draft Analyzer, which provides feedback and insights to help you improve. Sync your league with a few clicks, leverage draft intel to see your league mates' draft trends and strategies, and then perform a simulated mock draft against them using your league settings. Make informed decisions, avoid common pitfalls, and draft with confidence. Try Draft Wizard today at fantasypros.com/draftwizard or on the Fantasy Football Draft Wizard app and dominate your league. Now, let's get back to the list. Number 5, Malik Nabers, New York Giants. I think the Giants have no choice but to heavily feature Malik Nabers so significantly given the sheer lack of playmakers they have elsewhere on offense. This year's 6th overall pick from LSU's explosive skill set as a yak monster should make drafters less concerned about the potential shoddy quarterback play under Daniel Jones. He broke out at 18 years old in 2022 as a freshman and reminded me of Stephon Diggs when I watched him on film. Brian Daboll is going to know exactly the best way to deploy Nabers in the Giants offense. And besides, if we get anything close to the 2022 Daniel Jones, who led the NFL in adjusted completion percentage at 80%, Malik Nabers is going to destroy his ADP. And historically speaking, Nabers should at least meet his ADP when you consider the average production of a wide receiver that was drafted inside the top 10 over the past 3 drafts. Those wide receivers have averaged 81 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 6.4 touchdowns as rookies, per The Athletic. That would place him in firmly in the wide receiver 2 range. And per Joe Orrico, over the last 10 years, the 7 wide receivers drafted inside the top 6 have averaged top 10 in points per game with a minimum of 12 games played. Number 4, Michael Pittman Jr., Indianapolis Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. proved his alpha status all year long in 2023 with 109 catches on 156 targets, accumulating over 1,100 receiving yards on a 30% target share, which ranked 4th among all wide receivers. Pittman comes with a super high floor that can be further unlocked with better touchdown variance in 2024 should Anthony Richardson take this offense a step further in year 2. Pittman Jr. led the Colts and ranked inside the top 10 in red zone targets, but didn't get the red zone touchdowns to follow his way. The touchdowns have escaped him so far throughout his NFL career. Case in point, Pittman Jr.'s top 24 rate ranked 9th among wide receivers last season, but he only had 2 top 12 finishes based on the lack of touchdown equity. He also only had 1 bust game. The injury to Josh Downs should continue to funnel targets Pittman's way, boosting his floor, with positive touchdown variance unlocking an even higher ceiling. Over the last 3 seasons, Pittman ranks 18th in receiving yards, 7th in catches, and 7th in targets. He's averaged 104 catches per year the last 2 seasons, which ranks 5th. The 14 touchdowns ranked 24th is what's killing him. Number 3, Jaylen Waddle, Miami Dolphins. Jaylen Waddle strikes the perfect balance of floor and ceiling that I want to invest premium draft capital into. Despite the down season 2023 attached to 4 touchdowns, Waddle still ranks 10th in receiving yards and receiving yards per game over the last 2 seasons. One of the best predictors of future production, receiving yards. Go figure. Waddle also posted his highest yards per route run, which ranks 6th in PFF receiving grade of his career in 2023. He still posted a top 10 touch per snap rate and 24% target share. Waddle has 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons with 2 top 13 wide receiver finishes on his resume. Fantasy football doesn't have to be hard. Draft Waddle and reap the rewards. Touchdown regression is calling his name for a player of his top-tier talent. Number 2, Garrett Wilson, New York Jets. Wilson showed that even with the stone-cold worst Jets quarterback play last year, he could still be semi-productive. He finished with 95 catches from a whopping 168 targets, amassing over 1,000 receiving yards on a 30% target share and NFL-high 46% air yard share. But Wilson only found the end zone 3 times, while ranking 48th among 57 qualifiers in catchable target rate. Thanks a lot, Zach Wilson. But Garrett Wilson is so clearly a positive touchdown regression candidate this year. When you catch 90-plus balls and go for nearly 1,100 yards, you should be scoring more than 3 to 4 touchdowns. Nobody can be quite sure what the 2023 version of Wilson's stat line would have been had Aaron Rodgers not torn his Achilles. The absolute rope that Wilson called in for Rodgers in the red zone during the 3rd preseason game last year, chills. And Wilson's price has increased since last season into round 1. And I think a lot of that has to do with the talent, not necessarily the situation. But given the Jets are so much more likely to be a functioning offense with a better offensive line and a healthy Aaron Rodgers, I am buying the price on Garrett Wilson. Number 1, Ja'Marr Chase, Cincinnati Bengals. In 2023, Ja'Marr Chase finished with 100 catches, which was a career high on 145 targets. He He owned a 26% target share, amassing over 1,200 yards, scored 7 touchdowns while ranking top 10 in red zone targets. But Chase left production on the table without his healthy star quarterback Joe Burrow. But with Burrow fully healthy in 2024, I expect Chase to explode. During his last 7 games played with Burrow in 2023, this is when Joe Burrow was mostly healthy, Chase was on pace for 143 catches, over 1,800 yards, and 12 touchdowns. That would have been the wide receiver 3 in points per game behind only Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb. Chase has a strong chance to lead the NFL in red zone targets this season, considering he's led the NFL in red zone targets per game over the last 2 seasons. The past 5 number 1 overall wide receivers finishes first in the NFL in red zone targets. Chase can do that in 2024. Draft Chase as the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. That's going to tie about my top 10 must-have wide receivers for fantasy football. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share with all your non-league mates. And let me know in the comments which wide receivers are must-haves for you this draft season. But before you go, again, if you want a chance to win the ultimate symbol of fantasy football defeat, the Golden Toilet Trophy, courtesy of our good friends at Trophy Smack, the number 1 destination for epic fantasy football trophies. All you need to do is subscribe to the FantasyPros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on any of our videos, and that's it. Announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Thanks for watching and good luck in draft season.